everybody. It's Dr. Jason Day coming to you live from Trinity Life Center. It's an honor to connect with all of you moms and dads out there that are looking for change. Change from a place for where you're at right now to a place that's better for your kids. And I know you have questions. I know you have frustrations. And there's so many different opinions out there. My God, for every frustration, there's 100 opinions on what you should be doing for your kids. And we're here to unpack that. And we're going to be about 10, maybe even 12 minutes on this, if even that. But don't let the brevity of this conversation dilute the magnitude and power behind this conversation, because it's affecting way too many kids. And what we're here to talk about today is ear infections. All too common, but never normal. The fact that thousands and thousands and thousands of kids have ear infections does not make that okay. Just like the fact that thousands and thousands of people have obesity is not okay. There's reasons we're here. But the reason I bring so much passion, energy, and science to this conversation, because it's incredibly important. At the very surface, but incredibly important level for parents, ear infections hurt. They hurt really, really bad. And we know as adults, when we had swimmers' ear, that moment of crisis, of pain, imagine a baby that has no context or understanding going through that. But that aside, that's so important. It breaks my heart when I see children hurting. This ear infection thing, this neurological disconnect, this overwhelmed immune system is one of the biggest gigantic dominoes that our kids are facing. And when you knock down one domino, my God, others start falling. So we want to unpack that for you. Talk about physiology, why your kid is having so many ear infections. Why do they keep coming back? Why do doctors and other friends and family not seem to have the answers? Why is your kid sick all the time? But also, how does the body work? How does the physiology, neurology, immune system work around all these things? But most importantly, some strategies and tips to get through this, navigate this storm so that you can leave it in the past. I'm tired of seeing sick kids in the present, but also I'm really frustrated seeing these kids staying sick over time. So let's talk about ear infections, one of the most common childhood challenges. One of the major myths perpetuated even by medical doctors and other friends and family is that ear infections happen in babies and kids because their eustachian tube is a little bit flatter. Well, that hinges on the absurd notion that things move through the body because of gravity. I have blood in my feet right now, not because of gravity and it falling to my feet. It's pumped there by a heart. When I eat food, it doesn't tumble and cascade its way through my gut and fall out because of gravity. No, it's moved. Everything it's a vacuum. The body's a vacuum. You can't necessarily expect things to move through gravity, but also a baby is laying down. They're not vertical anyway. So if that design was there for a purpose, it's there for a reason. But the idea that it's just moving because of gravity is absurd. So let's unpack that. The heart pumps things. The gut moves things through movement. There's certain structures that do that, and the eustachian tube is no different. So let's talk about that. What an ear infection is an infection. Most of the times viral. We'll unpack that in a second. There's so many virus cases in this. Maybe even it's bacterial, but it's an infection pushing in on that tympanic membrane, but it's housed by this thing called the eustachian tube, which drains into the throat. That eustachian tube is surrounded by a tiny muscle. You can look this up. It's called the tensor veli palatini. I'll put that in the comment section below. But it's a donut-shaped ring muscle that surrounds that eustachian tube. It attaches to the palate. It attaches to this top bone in the neck called the atlas, a vertebra. We're going to come back to that. And it basically surrounds that. So every time your child moves their mouth through talking, cooing, suckling, latching, just day-to-day movement, that muscle is pumping, just like a heart. Heart pumps blood. This muscle, the tensor veli palatini, pumps that tube. You can imagine if I had a misalignment, a stress, an irritation at the brainstem, for whatever reason, if I misalign that bone, is that muscle going to be tighter or more relaxed? Now, what happens to a donut pump when it becomes stiff? It closes it down. And things that aren't allowed to drain and pool and just sit there become a cesspool for bacteria and virus, just like that puddle off in the corner of your kitchen. When that area is unmopped, unpushed out, it becomes mold and mildew and nastiness. That's the nature of nature. So if things aren't allowed to pump in your child's ear, my God, that's problematic. Here's the double kicker though. That top bone in the vertebra surrounds a brainstem. The brainstem is ground zero for the fight or flight response. So in one fell swoop, when this bone is misaligned, yes, we're jacking up the plumbing. We're jacking up that neurology, which is the fight or flight response. During fight or flight, what tanks? The immune system. Think about it. It makes perfect sense. A caveman that's running from a bear 10,000 years ago, how important is it to fight a stupid ear infection or a cold or virus, asthma, allergies? Pick anything. That's long game. How important is it to fight those little things when you got a big grizzly bear in your face? So yeah, the immune system requires a lot of energy and focus from our brain and neurology, but let's turn that off for right now because obviously we got bigger battles to fry. What causes misalignments at the brainstem? Birth trauma, birth intervention, slips and falls, in utero constraint. Or if you're anything like my 5 boys, which are photoed right up there, man, they're so cute. They daily try to kill themselves. They have physical wipeouts. And without exaggerations, I can post pics in the comments below. My 8-year-old just got a cast off today. Literally today. So there's physical stressors in our life, and our nervous system has to adapt to those stressors. But sometimes they can be overwhelming, leaving that child's brainstem, that upper cervical vertebra just stuck, putting undue pressure, irritation, and stress on a nervous system that's already overwhelmed with this thing called life. That's physical stressors, and my God, I wish it ended there. Chemical stressors and emotional stressors. Most babies don't have too many emotional stressors, but they happen. If you think about coming from the womb to this craziness, this is a very noisy world, and the last I checked, that environment out there, there's a lot of stressed out people, and kids pick up on that. But there's emotional stressors, but chemical stressors. And right at the top of that list, this is not an anti-medication statement. Antibiotics are a chemical stress. Maybe out of abject necessity we need antibiotics. They do save lives and serve a purpose, but they are way overutilized. Not according to me. The CDC, which we could all agree is biased towards medicine, which is fine, that's their job, that's their career, says that over a third, probably a half of all antibiotic use is completely unnecessary. And what population is it mostly overused in? Pediatrics and our kids. In fact, in the early 1980s, when I was this kid's age, pediatricians overwhelmingly agreed that antibiotics not only do not help with ear infections, they actually set the child up for immune system failure. It's a chemical stress because our gut is where our immune system is housed. 70+% of our immune system is in our gut, and antibiotics throw that gut off because our gut thrives off a healthy balance of flora. And flora is a medical term for bacteria. And what do antibiotics kill? All of it. Again, antibiotics serve their place, but not in ear infections. And that's no longer an opinion. There's no soapbox here. That's according to pediatricians. But guess what the #1 medication is in all of pediatrics? Antibiotics. And again, if my child had meningitis, encephalitis, or horrible pneumonia, thank God for the invention of antibiotics. But the fact that it's in every hand sanitizer, every shampoo, soap, Purells, and we bathe ourselves, we're destroying the microbiome that is our existence and our life. The only thing that fights bad bacteria is our immune system and the good bacteria that we have this symbiotic relationship with. But now more than ever, we're just waging war on everything that's good in our environment, trying to fight that one thing out there that might be bad, that is bad. So again, we have to look at those chemical types of stressors that overwhelm. So children that are constantly being taken antibiotics, we're overwhelming that nervous system, we're overwhelming that immune system, adding stress to an already stressed out system. So that's how the physiology and all of this works. Why is this important? Well, there's more brain and neurological growth in the first 3 years of your child's life than the rest of their life combined. Now there's value in what we do after the age of 3, but we have to get these first few months and years of our life right. And so many things we're doing physically, chemically, and emotionally to our kids is overwhelming them. That's not a judgment statement, it's a neurological fact. That's why 1 in 5 children have a defiant mental disorder. That's why 1 in 9 children have asthma. That's why 1 in 6 children have a chronic disease. These aren't my statistics, but my God, they fire me up. They inspire me because the trend is downward. It's not even a spiral, it's a plummet. We have to look at what's happening to our kids, and we can't keep throwing pills at these kids. We have to address that issue. I talked about that bone in the upper part of the neck. If it's misaligned, if it's irritated or stressed, a lot of times it pops up as a weakened immune system. It shows up as ear infections, asthma, allergies, colds. For some people, it's a headache. For some people, it's anxiety. There's so much going on with your neurology, but removing those irritations are always a good thing. That's where chiropractic comes in. That's where very gentle, specific, neurologically focused adjustments help in a big way. Removing those stresses allows your baby, your child's brain to do what it was always intended to do. Pump the junk out, boost the immune system, sleep better, be connected, focus, healing, rather than just stuck in this stressed out, non-draining, overwhelmed immune system, stressed out body, life, and existence that is what we're dealing with here. And again, when it comes to your child's health, I would never guess. We always measure these things. We have a unique technology that objectively, safely measures these neurological irritations from a medical perspective. These are medically based scans. The first scan is thermography. We measure the temperature along the nerve roots, along the brainstem, and the entire spine to find out, does your child have hot spots? Do they have irritations? That's a big deal. that irritation that I'm talking about, the misalignment at the top, you better believe it shows up on these scans. We also have 2 other scans for a little bit older kids. EMG was developed by neurologists. It measures the electrical tension or noise on that muscular system, which is controlled by the nerves. So again, we're looking at the nervous system again. We also have heart rate variability, which measures that fight or flight response. We're never gonna guess. We wanna give you the blueprint, the plans, the strategies to eradicate ear infections. Ear infections are the symptom. We're addressing the cause. But this is a cause that's tied to not just ear infections, but a weakened immune system, weakened brain function, focus, energy, emotions, ADHD. All these other things are tied into a nervous system that just needs a little help, or in so many cases, a lot of help. There's so many testimonies on our Google page and so many kids that walk into this practice whose lives is so much better, not because of me, but because we gave them the opportunity to heal. One that reminds me all the time, Cam, he was about 4.5 years old when his mom found us, and without exaggeration, he had taken a round of antibiotics at least once every single month of his life. You can do the math. It was over 40 rounds of antibiotics. You can imagine this child's immune system was shot. The pediatrician just kept, and again, I don't want to bash pediatricians, but my God, if I tried something 40 times and it wasn't working, I would think something different or make a referral. We have to look at what was causing it. And we went about the slow, steady process of unwinding these neurological stressors. And he was 4.5 when he started here, and he has not had an ear infection or croup or any of these things that he came in for since then. It's been a few years ago. And again, it wasn't a miracle, it wasn't a myth, it wasn't just happenstance. It's because his brain, his neurology, was in the driver's seat the entire time. It just needed some help at the beginning. Removing those irritations is always going to be a good thing, and it all begins with that assessment. That full assessment is usually $200. When we do that, we sit down and talk about all the challenges you're having, as well as do that detailed neurological evaluation. Anything and everything is included with that $200. The special for we have for these webinars is just $125. It's $125 for an individual to get checked out. And again, yes, we take care of so many kids and babies here. We also take care of their moms and their dads. If you're a mom out there and you're like, man, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, having to deal with all these challenges in our world right now, and you want to get checked, of course you can. It's $125 for an individual, it's $195 for an entire family to get checked out. And we have some big families here, and we want to extend that to you. Anybody and everybody in your family can get checked for that price. Just comment or call in below, and I'll reach you. You can send me a private message if you have questions. And you know what? It's high time parents start asking more questions. Asking more questions of their doctors and their chiropractors and even their government. You get the best answers when you ask the best questions, and it's time we go on a different path. I'm not okay with those statistics anymore. I want to move in a radically different direction, not just for me, not just for society, but for your kids. So it's been an honor chatting with you. If you have questions, reach out, connect with me below. I can't wait to connect with you soon. Take care, guys.